it's sort of like oven chip temperature, it melted, and then you eat it with your hands from the tub. But we've had an email that relates to that, but I think it's even more disgusting. So this is from Illegal Liz. It says, there's an urban legend here in the States, she's from America, that Ron DeSantis, the presidential candidate, once ate chocolate pudding with his fingers in front of an airplane full of reporters. Like, scooped it out of the plastic cup with his fingers and transferred it to his mouth. Now that does sound mad, and obviously we don't know whether this is true or not, but the idea that you'd be a presidential candidate and you'd be meant to be taken seriously on issues of tax, welfare, cost of living, housing, and then you are foreign policy, Russia, Ukraine, you know, the threat of China, and there you are scooping chocky out out of an old plastic pot with your little hands. But there's an argument, it could be seen as a real power play, as if to say, I literally don't care what you say about me or think about me, I'm just going to eat chocolate with my fingers in front of you.
I mean, that is one way of terrifying Putin, isn't it? You can imagine you're across the table negotiating a Putin, and suddenly, we're proud, you'll happily display yogurt, whatever it is. You rip it open, start scooping it into your mouth.
You don't scare me about a bit. I actually had something a little bit similar to this. I'm not going to talk about this on the show before. I once had Friends record when I was about 19 or something like that, and I decided to eat a petit faloo. A petit faloo is quite a decision at the age of 19 at the best of times. Yeah, it is. I mean, petit faloo is kind of, it really is reserved for children, isn't it? But I was 19, choosing to have a petit faloo.
Well, it's yogurt for children, but sure. Bit of fun. Bit of fun.
I couldn't be bothered to get a spoon, and so I decided to eat it just with my tongue.
Oh.
And tried to reach the stuff at the bottom. I strained my tongue so badly that I could barely speak for 3 days after it. It was like proper muscle strain. And then having to explain to people how you strained your tongue, it was saying, well, I was trying to get to the bottom of a petit faloo without a spoon. Makes you sound like a man who's having a breakdown. It's not a cool tongue injury.
Were you the kind of kid with yogurt where you would lick the lid?
Yes, love licking the lid, yeah.
I was never into that.
Why not, though? It's more yogurt.
No, I get that it's more yogurt, but there was something about the act of it that I saw when others did it that I was like, I'm not going down to your level.
Would you use a spoon to take the yogurt off the lid?
Yes, I would, Tom.
Okay, so there you are. So you weren't wasting it. By extension, what about drinking the milk from the bottom of a cereal bowl? Would you do that, or are you the sort of person that leaves the final bit of milk?
With the spoon. I would with the spoon.
See, I am still occasionally, if no one in the room, I'm a tipper. I pick up the bowl and I tip in the sugary milk from the bottom of the bowl.
But I think most people do that. I think that is the norm. Because with a spoon, when you're down to the final little drops, I can't really get that with the big spoon that I've got. So unless I'm getting increasingly smaller spoons, because I refuse to tip it into my mouth, I guess that's the punishment for my own obstinance over the issue.
I like the fact you say I can't get at the milk with the big spoon that I've got, because that in my mind makes it sound like you only have one spoon in your house and it's massive. With the big spoon that I've got, you open the drawer and that's all that's in there. This weighs like double the size of a ladle. Cereal is a nightmare every morning with Simran.
Honey, we need more than this one big spoon. It's getting absurd.
Previously the oar on a boat, now used by Simran for a cereal. Yeah. I do see what you're saying. It's not a great look licking a yogurt pot, but I am that person, and, I'm not going to change.
No, and I would hate it if you didn't, because I love you, Tom.
Thank you very much. Now, funnily enough, we think that's weird. Today's guest has all manner of weird food habits
and drink habits.
It's incredible. While you go through this episode, there's a part of this episode that will blow your mind. And in fact, if you think that you do things that are weirder than our guest does, do get in contact, but I'd be flabbergasted if any of you do. And who is our guest this week, Sim?
So our guest this week is the broadcaster, Matt Edmondson. And Matt, mainstay of Radio 1, you can hear him on with Molly King, and he also hosts an excellent podcast called The List of Absolutely Everything That Might Kill You. It's with Adam Kay. He's the guy who did the Junior Doctor memoir, This Is Going to Help, which is also then turned into a BAFTA-winning show. The podcast basically explores all those unexpected dangers that lie in wait for us as we go about our sort of daily lives, from deadly doorbells to fatal feather boas, that kind of thing.
Great idea.
Check it out wherever you get your podcasts, and we've also popped a link to it in our program description. So shall we dive straight in and listen to what he's got to say?
Let's do that. Matt Edmondson, what a nice man, what weird habits. Enjoy.
I think it's something you told us. What takeaway you ordered that arrived so devilishly early?
Yeah, so I went for a chicken shashlik. I had some plain rice, which I wouldn't normally do, but as you guys were paying, I thought I'd go for it. Normally I would do my own rice at home, and actually I'm going to say, and I don't want to offend the place I got it from, but my rice is better than the professional curry houses. First of all, what's a shashlik? A shashlik? Get out your tiny violins and join me on an incredibly sad story, okay? I don't know how old you guys are, but I've hit my mid-30s, and a couple of things happened. Got a hay fever, boom, out of nowhere. Thought it was a myth beforehand. Turns out, that's real. It's bad. The other thing that happened was I developed, I'm going to say IBS, not medically checked, but funny tongue, quite a lot of the time. I was like, good. I think that's what the doctors call it. And so I did blood tests. It's one of these things you put your finger, send it off, and it comes back and it tells you if you're intolerant to anything. It said I was intolerant to dairy. Oh, that was a real sucker punch for me because all I was eating was dairy, which might explain the old funny term.
So were you having reactions? Let's say if you, example dairy, just having a glass of milk, were you having a reaction to that?
Yeah, my body was at a certain threshold with it, I think, but I felt pretty fatigued, and I definitely was pooping more than I was wanting.
Do you want to poop? On the hour, every hour?
Was, yeah, exactly.
Every hour. The Radio 4 poops.
Say what? It's incredible. The story is, I'm intolerant to milk. So I used to have a chicken tikka masala. I had to swap it up, and I was like, okay, which one of these is less likely to have dairy in it? Basically, it's a sauceless chicken dish. It's sort of cooked on a skewer, I think, in a tandoor oven, and they add peppers and onions and all that kind of stuff to it, which I duly ignore. Yeah, it's like a slightly burnt bit of chicken.
Where's it on the spice scale? Where is it on the spice scale?
It's reasonably spicy. It's not going to strip the inside of your mouth off. You don't need to swill Bonjela beforehand.
I've got a question for you about the rice. You say you cook rice better at home than it's being delivered to you by an authentic curry house. To ask you a question then, when are you cooking the rice, and how are you cooking it? Are we talking like rice cooker, or are we talking, rice in the pan with some water, you're monitoring it, you're getting it rolling, all that kind of stuff? But it's obviously perfect in special way that you do it. So talk us through it.
Well, in anyone's opinion, about it would be regarded as perfect. I would defy anyone in a blind taste test to not choose my rice over the rice of several professional curry houses. It feels too easy to have to pay someone else to do. I am many things. Height is one of them. And so I've always done my own rice because I've always thought, bag of rice in my house and I've got access to boiling water. How hard can it be? It is hard to get rice right. So I'm pretty good at it now. So yeah, with the rice, I save money, but I also get it piping hot. So on the timing front, very hard, because as we've established, you cannot set your clock by the delivery of this place that I'm going from. Yeah, they can't be trusted on that front. So the system that we have is we preheat the oven on a low heat, sub 100 degrees.
Oh, really low then, okay.
Yeah, and the place we get it from, they're not on Deliveroo. They're not even on Just Eat or one of the other ones. You have to do it through their website, because it's one guy with a car. The guy with a car turns up whenever the hell he wants. So we can't even monitor on a map to back time it. Sometimes they will say, like, oh, it'll be 7 o'clock, whatever. They're always early. Always. I will sometimes confidently start making the rice early. The way my wife likes it is, we wait for the curry to arrive. They're in little foil cartons. She puts those into the preheated oven. They just stay a bit warm, but don't cook. And in that time, we make the rice. And for the rice, I like to think of rice as 2 handfuls per person, plus a bit extra for the dog. That does enough for all of us. So clump, 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 bit for the dog. That goes into a sieve. You've got to wash the rice beforehand, of course. Otherwise it gets real starch. So you wash your rice. I've already got my pan of boiling water. The rice is going in. It's having a gentle stir. I'm putting a tiny bit of salt in, but not too much. And then it's boiling for 8 minutes. I'm setting a timer. And then after 8 minutes, I will drain it, and I will put the lid on for like a couple of minutes whilst we're getting the curry.
Whilst we're kissing.
Yeah, exactly. Just whilst we're celebrating how grateful we are for the meal we're about to eat. And then the lid will come off. And what it does is it creates a sort of lovely steamed area for the curry just to hang out in the last minute or so. It comes out fluffy and warm and not sticky. It's honestly fantastic.
Let's say if you're in an Indian restaurant, would you still go for plain rice?
I would bring my own rice.
Or would you still go for plain boiled as opposed to pilau?
Yes.
Do you prefer it of the two? You do, and why is that?
I'm a fussy eater. I'm a bland eater. I have the palate of an uninquisitive choice. And so I don't want anything too surprising going on. You know, if pilau rice is there, I'll have it. But I prefer to go with good old trusty plain rice.
What about you, Sim? Are you a pilau? Are you a plain rice guy? What's your sort of? Where are you?
I have an advantage over the two of you, which is I grew up with my grandmother, who didn't speak a word of English, but did cook rice to perfection.
Okay.
And the pan in which she boiled the rice, I still own. The pan that she used to boil the rice in is the same pan that she had when she was living in Uganda and was cooking. And I still use that pan today.
I mean, when was she living in Uganda?
1970s. So,
Wow.
that is very impressive.
And is that pan exclusively for rice, Simon?
It's a refugee pan, yeah. It's a refugee pan for refugees and rice.
No, I mean, do you use it exclusively for rice?
It would be sacrilege to use it for anything
We
else.
on? Okay.
The question really
It's a
is,
boat drop.
am I in?
Products loaded and waiting.
And the answer is
They'll pay more.
absolutely not. Okay. It's a disgrace, not just to myself, but to my grandmother and all the Ugandan refugees. I do try to cook my own rice. I like it a certain way, which is you have the rice, pour in the water, and then you add star anise, 2 cardamom pods, a clove, and a lot of salt. Quite a lot. And then when it's done, if you get it nice and fluffy, and when it's steaming hot, you take a spoon and you put it into a big tub of butter, and you curl that butter into the spoon and dollop it into the rice and serve it up. And that is a fantastic Indian authentic rice delivered on your table and into your mouth.
So where are you going wrong? Because it sounds like you talk the talk, but you can't rice the rice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying is what it should be like. What actually comes out is sort of liquidy, soupy thing. You've got to put the rice floating in into butter that has emulsified.
Also, Sim, I'm slightly insensitive that Matt's been talking about the fact he has a dairy allergy, and you end with a huge scoop of butter going into the rice at the end there.
Well, you're not ever going to eat it.
No, why did you mentioned one thing earlier, which is another thing I find hard. You talk about 2 scoops of rice and 1 for the dog. Spaghetti. How on earth do you work out how much spaghetti for 1 foot? I cannot work it out.
It's impossible.
I either get that he fills the room with it, or there's 2 strands for us. I just never get it right. I don't know what the amount is.
Matt, what's your technique? Because I tend to grab the spaghetti in my wrist.
Sorry, you grab it in your wrist?
Not in my wrist, in my hand.
2 hands, third hand.
I've forgotten what my wrist in my hand.
It's amazing that hasn't come up in Series 4, where you eventually find out you have a secondary hand that comes out of your wrist for holding spaghetti.
So I grab and pass it in the palm of my hand, and the other bit of pass it, I twist it, and I just go, this feels like it's enough, and shove it in. What do you do, Matt?
Yes, you kind of need the twist, don't you, to get them all to kettle it.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that there's no air gaps between. There's nothing, it's not being padded out by air or finger. What would I do if I was doing spaghetti? I would always rather cook more than this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? Look, I'm just talking about right. My dog knows the work and is here and try it. We're just talking about. There isn't any available. I'm so sorry. Because I didn't do it. It's a takeaway. So they took the rice with it. There's no extra bit for dogs.
It could be spaghetti as well as brought him over. There's that seasoning in the trout when it's spaghetti, isn't it? Might be that.
That's true. So yeah, spaghetti, I would put more in than I thought I needed. There's a thing that there's something to do with like one of those spoons, which has the hole in it. You Yes.
That's true, the ladle has a hole, but it's not enough spaghetti.
Is it not?
It's not enough, no. So I always get their empties on.
They trick you there, they lure you in with a hole.
There is one part of your order that draws my eye to be honest more than the plain rice and the chicken chapstick, and it's the fact that for one person,
Yes.
according to what I've been told by our producer, you've gone for 6 poppadoms for one person.
Oh yeah, in a way, when I'm ordering a curry, all I'm wanting is popcorn. It's an excuse to have popcorn.
God, I love you so much, Matt. I completely agree with you more.
I had it once where they forgot to bring the pop-tops, and it genuinely hit me like grief. It was it hit me hard, you know, because the whole thing felt pointless at that stage. It's like, well, I've already cooked my own rice. Now I've got my chicken. Where are the pops? That's what I want. And so, yeah, they're the most important part. I just wonder, there are certain things to this, I think, at what point, biologically, would I have to stop it? If they were there, I think I could just keep going. It used to be the case with chocolate cornflake mini bites. Not anymore. You can imagine the six bites on the side of that.
If you're ordering with your wife, though, you've got 6 here. If you're ordering as a couple, are you still in that situation getting 6 for yourself and then whatever extra?
I would want bare minimum 4. Bare minimum.
Wow.
She would also want 4, maybe 3.
What a lovely mutual shared interest that is.
Exactly, yeah, we both like a poppadom. The worst offender than the poppadoms I know is Molly, going to radio for 5 pennies. It's frightening how many poppadoms she ordered, to the point where it's quite stressful. We do a sort of regular board game night and at each other's houses, and we always get a second. She gets incredibly stressed about the poppadoms that are being ordered. She needs to make sure that she has like a minimum of 10.
Simply for herself.
For herself. And you think she's never going to get through it, but she does.
Okay, hold on a sec. So, first of all, when you're eating your poppadom, how are you breaking it up? Are you picking up the whole thing and biting into it like a burger? Are you cracking it with a tap? How are you dismantling it? And are you scooping your rice with the poppadom? Is the poppadom going with every bite?
Slow down, Simran. Slow down. There's so many questions here. So firstly, obviously, I'm picking the poppadoms up with my wrists. That's how I'm doing it. I'm only human. Secondary to a poppadom not right is a soggy pot. No one wants that.
Yeah.
If it's too oily, if it has in any way been near moisture, it's ruined. And actually, with a delivery, that is a real problem. Sometimes they'll put it in like a bag that is exposed with the hot food in there, and the steam will make them go bad. You don't want that. So we found a place that reliably crispy poppadoms. And then, I think it would be criminal not to enjoy that snack. And so I would, I've got my back and forth, and they'd be on a separate plate, by the way. Or sometimes you just rip open the bag, like you would at school with a pack of crisps. Okay. Put them between us on the footrest. We're very rarely using something on television. Oh, I've got a lap tray as well.
Oh, have you? Oh, very cute. Matthew Crosby took the lap tray, and I have one now as well. My girlfriend is embarrassed every time I put it on my lap. I absolutely love it.
Crosby's got big lap tray energy.
So proud of it. When he brought it out to show her, it's like a child who's done a painting he wants his parents to see. He was really tapping about it when he brought it out.
May I ask what it looks like? Was it aesthetically pleasing?
He had a cool base in there. It's the William Morris wallpapered lap tray. Yeah. And I've got the same thing. The wallpaper is very fancy.
I'm going to have to show you my lap tray. And then say, oh God,
I'm about to see the lap tray. When did you buy a lap tray, Sigma? Was that after the coffee? So wow by the coffee episode, we bought one. I think 30 minutes after the coffee episode, I ordered one. That's amazing. And would you genuinely sell it as a thing that I use in my life?
Yeah.
You'd be to sell on the lap tray.
Oh my God, I couldn't live without it.
Really?
If there was a fire in my house, it'd be the dog, then the kids, then the lap tray. That'll be it.
Are the dogs and the kids going on the lap tray and be carried out of the house?
Yeah.
That's a great thing about a lap tray.
Tom, do you ever watching television and eating at the same time?
Yes, we do that. So I'd say most of our takeaway meals like that.
Where are you putting your plate?
So I sit cross-legged on the floor,
Joking.
in front of the telly. No, not at all.
Have you got that level of flexibility?
I have, yeah. And my knees bend behind, very sort of childlike. It's a bit weird, to be honest.
I wish I could cross my legs and sit on the floor. Hold on, but where's the plate?
Well, you mentioned that just putting the bag of popcorn between you. I couldn't do that. Everything has to go on a plate. So even if the popcorns are in a bag, that bag will then still go on a plate.
The bag goes on a plate?
Yeah, I still formalise it in that way. There's this sort of performance around everything's got to go on a plate while I'm sat on the floor.
Would you put a chocolate bar on a plate, Tom?
Well, my dad used to put a Mars bar in the fridge, let it freeze, and then put it on a plate, cut it up, have pieces from the plate, and I still do that. And to answer you, often I will have a chocolate bar from the plate, which is pre-sliced.
That's nice.
This makes me sound quite tragic. But let's get back to your tragedy, which is your lap tray. So why do you think I need this?
Nothing tragic about this. So here's my one, by the way, and I think how attractive it is doesn't come across on camera. It's got nice and shapely. It's a lovely green that matches our furniture. It's a good quality lap tray.
Your wife has one too, as well, does she?
Oh, we got matching lap trays, yeah, of course.
Have you? Okay. Oh,
it's great.
That is very sweet.
Where did you put the plate before the lap tray? Because I can't sort of remember a time that far back.
I think the lap.
I didn't enjoy that, the plate on my lap.
Cushion, maybe a cushion.
Interesting. You wouldn't find a table.
No, I don't have access to a table in the living room. I think pre-lap tray, I would have lived in a shared house. We'd all sat around like a table together, like with friends, like a conversation.
Would you like to have a bite of your food from your lap tray? I'd like to get a feeling for the quality of what's been delivered to your house.
I would actually. Let me go and grab it. Hang on, bear with.
Okay, Sim, I'm going to give the lap tray a go. I genuinely am going to give the lap tray a go. Okay, I think you should give it a go and then take a picture.
It's now been so sort of long since the delivery. I think it's technically leftovers.
So what we would try first?
A couple of pops there.
Nice.
Do you want to hear the snap?
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, yeah. The snap. Look, my dog's very attention. You can have some poppadom, buddy. There you go. There you go.
Matt, we should probably ask you a little bit about growing up. Did you eat many takeaways?
No. I don't know why. So I grew up in Portsmouth, which I'm sure has many fine takeaways, but it just wasn't a thing that we ever did. And it's one of those things that when you discover it's available, which for me was when I moved away from home, moved to Northern, you're like, oh my God, this is game-changing. You do this all the time. At home, my dad would occasionally like pick up fish and chips from a on the way home, but it was very rare. Yeah, it never occurred to me that someone else would cook food and it could be delivered to your house. In the same way that I didn't really know that hotels existed, because every holiday we ever went to was a camping holiday, and so we were always in a tent, which is well, it's shit basically. And so then when you discover, hang on, you don't sleep in an actual bed. My God, it's life-changing.
So was there a point then, you mentioned you grew up without taking it, but there was a point when you realised, oh wow, you can get this stuff. What point in your life was that? And what was the food that you were buying at that point? Your first takeaways? What were
Sure. So when I moved into a shared house with some friends that I went to school with, just a blissful time in this really lovely house with incredibly cheap rent, which meant we had some money spare to blow it on takeaways. The one we had probably most often in time was pizza. Mostly it was a dirty Domino's. That's how it was referred to. So we'd have a Domino's. I actually once had quite a traumatic experience with a Domino's delivery, which was at this shared house, ordered Domino's. I was ordering them so regularly that I kind of knew the guy like by name, you know, when I phoned up. I feel like if I hadn't ordered these for 2 weeks, he would phone the police and say, you need to check on this guy. And I ordered this pizza, and it got stolen, but I saw it get stolen because it got intercepted by a man on a bicycle as it was being taken off a motorbike and walked towards my front door. So probably about 2 meters, guy on the pavement, amazing timing, walked straight by, grabbed his pizza, goes.
Just to be clear, did he grab it from the takeaway, or did he claim to be you?
No. He literally like swiped it. Wow. Never stopped pedaling. And so the pizza delivery guy then just holding air, but in like the shape of the pizza. And we couldn't quite work out who was responsible for it. And I was like, well, I haven't received it yet. He was like, yes, but I did deliver it. You sort of saw it. They thought that I had set it up. I was trying to pull off the pizza because the timing was too perfect. They're like, this is a thing you do, a ruse. You have a pizza delivered and your mate comes along and swipes on it. It's like,
the effort to go to that.
The effort, exactly.
Did they refuse to send you a new thing? What was the new monitor? What happened?
No, because I had such a great relationship with the guy, I was able to phone him and set the record straight. It's me. I would never do that to you. But yeah, Dirty Domino's was it. If we were feeling fancy, we'd sometimes treat ourselves to a Papa John's. And that was fancy because it came from Italy. Yeah, from Italy, exactly, yeah. It came from outside of the catchment area where our takeaway would be. And so it meant that we had to walk to another end to be able to place the order and then get it. So, but we do that if we're feeling fancy. And it felt like a real treat, Papa John's.
Yeah. So if someone was watching, they would see a group of guys huddling over to some street and then making an order on their phone.
Making an order, yeah.
And then instead of a load of drugs turning up, Papa John's.
It's a Papa John's. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a man who is clearly Matt Edmonds in disguise rushes past and nicks that Papa John's.
Exactly, yeah. I am now the scooter, I'll take it away.
We talk there, well, you talk about Domino's. One thing we always discuss on the show are sort of late night guilty orders, and I think that can probably fall into that. I think there's a little bit of a palate cleanser before we go into that. Do you want to have a little quick bite of your chicken and tell people what you're thinking flavour-wise, we're enjoying this, and then we can kind of plumb the depth of 3 a.m. and kebab?
Hold up. My mate just went, yes, I made the mistake of putting my plate on the floor and the dog has come over. Now, if the dog has chicken, he'll have explosive diarrhea tomorrow. Here is the famed sachet milk, completely sauceless.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no buttery sauce on that. I'm adding a forkful of substandard rice to it. It actually tastes, tonight's sachet actually tastes smokier than usual. Yeah, well, I smoked it, but it tastes fantastic.
Well, it has a sort of chicken look to it. You can see, I imagine
it's
probably
charred.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Charred.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what's good about it. Heavy. But one thing I really like, and again, this comes back to doesn't want to pay for his own rights. They sent so much chicken in this chicken sachet thing. Impossible to eat in one sitting. And so, I take them out, I pop it in a little ramekin, in the fridge, and then the next day I have it or incorporated sandwich or pasta or something like that. It's like a double whammy. 2 meals for the price of one, roughly.
So we talked there about Domino's. Let's get into your 3 a.m. order. So you're not a drinker, you say, but after a party, you're on your way home, you're hungry. What are you going to? What is your guilty pleasure?
But very rarely after a party. Okay, I'm one of life's great parties.
On the hour, every hour?
Exactly. If I was coming back, mate, so I am very nocturnal. It's hard now, I've got kids, and they get up and crack the door, and, I've got responsibility. But when I didn't, if I could structure my own schedule, I would want to be up until 4 a.m. every day, and then go to bed, and then wake up about 11.
Really?
Then not really work until about 2. Yeah, I like it. I like working through the night. Because of that, when I was living in my shared house, I would often order late night pizza, and it would be, again, because it's a margarita, deep pan margarita. What's problematic is this, so you order it from Domino's or Pizza Hut, and actually also Pizza Hut. The problem with the Pizza Hut is if you go to an actual hut where they serve the pizza, oh my god, it's like the nectar of the gods when it comes straight out. And there's something about the entropy that it experiences en route from the hut to your house, which is that it does not sustain its puffiness and just its niceness. And when it arrives, a sort of layer of grease has risen to the top. Yeah, it's just a bit limp, which is really unsatisfying. The only thing I can equate it to is if you've ever had the misfortune of being upgraded on a flight, and I do see it as a misfortune, you then know what you're missing. I had it happen to me once where I got upgraded, and I wish it had never happened, because I'm obviously not paying ever for anything more than the cognizance. But I know what's back there, and I wish I didn't know. And it's the same Pizza Hut. I wish I'd never experienced pizza in the hut, because hutless, not so good.
And what was this flight where you got upgraded, and how high up did you get upgraded? Let's just find out.
Actually, you know what? It's happened twice. Once to Miami. The best one was on my honeymoon, went to New York on the way back, business class. Oh my god! It was Virgin Atlantic business class, and it's just a different world, isn't it? And the food. Yeah, it is. I mean, ostensibly it's the same been cooked in the same way, which is it's in a microwave. Just with a bit of care.
It just tells you how unflash this podcast is. It's the two hosts asking a man what going in business class is like when he got in for free. What was it like? Just tell us what it's like.
What was it like? Tell us talk about magical. It was magical. He gave us a flat chair. Yeah. So the pizza, the late night pizza would have been the one, and I would dab the grease off on the lid of the box, and I'd always think, oh my god, that's going into my arteries. And then I'd eat it anyway.
Do you have any feelings towards McDonald's as well, KFC? What you're wearing there, or do you avoid those sort of places?
As a kid, I think my mum was a bit snobbish. I didn't really have any rights to it, but I think she didn't think McDonald's was somewhere we should go. So I went to a couple of kid parties there when I was very young, and we never went back. And for whatever reason, it was like, oh no, we're not going to McDonald's. It's sad, because sometimes they'd have a promotion on with a Happy Meal toy that you just really wanted. So yeah, I think I have. It's almost like a Pavlovian response to McDonald's, which is like, no, I'm not allowed that. Oh really? And actually, we went on one holiday. This was the holiday where I discovered hotels existed. Wasn't until I was a lot older. We went to Disney in Florida. I mean, I was even fussier with food then than I am now. I was basically, I think, surviving on chicken nuggets a lot of the time. And I had some chicken nuggets from McDonald's, one of which was like, do you remember those bath bombs?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Don't know what they're called, bath pearls.
Oh, yeah.
Bath pearls you get back in the 90s from the Body Shop. Really, really invited you to pop them. And they were so inviting, like they just had the perfect amount of pushback. You're like, oh, I really want to squeeze one of these. Is that just me, or is that something we can all relate to?
No, I do get that. Yeah.
No, I get that. I fully get that.
Like bubble wrap, isn't it? Same world.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like biting into all of those. So there was no chicken on the interior, but what there was a sort of concoction of like grease that exploded in my mouth upon eating that nugget. The shock of it stayed with me. You know, I'm still in regular therapy for it.
So was that the last time you had a McDonald's?
Probably the last time I had a McDonald's, yeah, but I have had a KFC since. And by the way, the circumstances of that were that as a sort of consequence of doing the radio, being on Radio 1, I have been invited on occasion to DJ at places, parties. So, I once had quite a bad year. You don't need the full story, but know that I was in financial trouble, and I was like, I'll go anywhere for any money to do any gig. And my booking agent really took me at my word on that one. And so sent me all around the country on various sort of professions we shows. They would often be 9 hours away on a drive, and if you were lucky, they'd provide like a guy that would drive you there. And my policy was, and they'd often say, "Oh, we can put you up in a hotel room." I'd say, "A what?"
Yeah.
They'd say, "A hotel." I'd say, "I don't know what you mean." They'd say, "It's like a tent, but with an impractical toast machine." They'd often offer that, and I'd say, "No, let's just drive back. Let's drive there. I'll do my set. It's only an hour. I'll drive back again because I'm gonna sleep in the back of the car, and I'd rather be tired waking up in my own bed than waking up and going, oh, God, I'm going to drive for 9 hours."
So you're a person who enjoys the thrill of staying in a hotel?
No, I don't really. It doesn't thrill me at all, a hotel. So yes, on those journeys back, we'd obviously have to make some stop-offs.
She looks good.
It's a weird thing I was doing
Not
a
that
DJ
she
set,
didn't already.
because the preamble to it was abject terror, because you're like, God, I've got to do this thing I don't really know how to do. Then
Just don't
the
let
thrill
him
of
get
doing
Or do.
it, and there's sort of like adrenaline afterwards of it, and then you're like in a car, the driver's listening to Magic FM, there's like a one-show gear change. Once your body's been through all of that, what it craves is 11 secret herbs and spices. And so, on those occasionally, you would stop at a service station. I was like, if it's after 2 a.m., it doesn't count. So I would indulge in some KFC chicken strips. Another name for a Dijon, turns out, which is another name for a nugget. And yeah, I'd enjoy those, and they are brilliant.
Matt, is your ultimate KFC order chicken strips?
It would be chicken strips, yeah.
Is that because you save money by making your own fries at home?
That's right. Yes, I always carry a potato and a peeler with me wherever I go. I love deep fried chicken. Problematic because a lot of it's done in buttermilk these days. There's two of the things I'm not allowed: butter and milk. But you know, I will risk that.
She looks good in them
Before
boots,
you
yo.
first, one thing we always ask guests is, Do you have any weird habits you want to get off your chest to do with food?
Where do I start? Where do I start? I mean, I've got a list. Okay, let me hit you with some of the headlines. I like dry cereal.
I do, Matt. Why do you rattle through them?
All right, yeah. If I'm having toast and I'm putting butter or a vegan alternative onto it, I don't like it to be visible.
What? You have to have an invisible spread.
It has to be melted in.
That's absurd. That is absurd.
I need to be fully melted. I don't want to see it. I don't like it to be visible.
We are, just to be clear, we are going to go back over a few of these things, but let's keep going. Yeah.
What else? I don't like gravy.
Okay.
Because I don't like foods that feel like they should be dry. Yes, I use that. But it's not full of reputation. I don't like gravy. What else is an unusual thing? There are quite a few foods that I've never had. Not really food, but I've never had a fizzy drink.
What? No. Okay, this is the biggest thing I think we've heard in the podcast. You've never had a fizzy drink?
I've never had a fizzy drink.
This was at the beginning of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when you started to go around and try all these amazing things.
Have you had a fizzy drink? By not consuming one orally. I've never had one. Why? As a kid, I was really fussy, and had a very quite limited range of things that I was interested in consuming. You know, like, there are some people that are hyper tasters. I don't know if I am. I feel like I am, because I feel like I can smell and taste things.
Interesting.
In a way that other people can't necessarily. So, like, my wife changed dishwasher tablets on my shop. I was eating something from a plate, and I said, "What's going on? They've changed dishwasher tablets." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Everything tastes of lemon. Everything." She's like, "It does." I said, "Taste this, bitch." She's like, "Oh, it tastes like," I was like, "No, wow, of lemon." And she then would test that theory occasionally by dripping some of those dishwasher tablets in, and every time I'd be like, "Those dishwasher tablets, they're back in circulation. I can smell them." And not even smell them, I can taste them. So I think I've got a very acute sense of taste.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I actually have never said this to anyone, so I don't know if this does happen with other people. When someone pours a Coca-Cola into a glass, can you taste it? Can you taste it like in the air?
No. But I think it would make my tongue react in the same way. Let's say, if I think about salt and vinegar crisp, I have a reaction. The back of my tongue will salivate a little bit, it's aware of it. But then maybe that's a nerve response to me knowing what Coca-Cola tastes like, so possibly if someone poured in the front of it. But I definitely could taste it in the air, like a sniffer dog.
Yeah, I sort of feel like I can.
Hold on, but what's the distance between the Coca-Cola can being open and you tasting it in the air? Is it sort of...
Oh, it has to be like probably a couple of weeks.
4.5 miles.
4.5 miles. I swear, that's
someone's opened one in Slough.
Someone's just popped a Dr. Pepper.
Matt can't move, really. It's the number of Coca-Cola cans opening up at any moment. That's incredible. So it's a childhood thing that I find amazing there. The fact that even as a child you didn't have a fizzy drink. What's happening there?
Something about the texture of it, the smell of it. Like, it's like a smell thing. Like, the smell of it was really off-putting.
Really interesting.
And so I never went for it. And I guess the closest I've come is accidentally, like, sipping someone else's sparkling water and immediately going, "Oh my god, my tongue! It's not used to this." But other than that, I've never had a fizzy drink.
Remarkable. Okay, I've listed them down here. I was just going to go through them one by one. Dry cereal. What cereal?
Cocoa Pops.
Oh, mate.
I believe it's a marketing scam that turns the milk chocolatey.
Even the slogan is, it turns the milk chocolatey. They're on the front of the packet.
That's a problem that some marketing persons come good on. Because they'll have made that product, they'll be like, "Oh, listen, I know we've got Rice Krispies, try my chocolate. Every time we put water on them or milk on them, it comes off. We can't sell these things, how can we?" And someone would say, "No, just say that they turn the milk chocolatey." Boom. Suddenly, we haven't got a flawed product.
Okay, it was intentional. So you're spooning the dry cereal into your mouth, and those Cocoa Pops, they're staying steady on that spoon, or are they all over the place?
They're staying steady. I'm not a nervy Cocoa Popsies. They're fine.
Okay, so to me that's absolutely balmy, but fair enough. The next one is the fact you need to have translucent spread, or it needs to be melted into your bread. Thoughts on that, Sim?
I'm more interested in why Matt has this fear of visible butter.
Here's the thing, right? If I had a block of butter would you take a knob of that butter and put it into your mouth? What I don't understand is, if I wouldn't eat it visibly solo, why, when I've now placed it on a piece of bread, have my boundaries changed?
But Matt, if you took that logic and applied it to anything else, you wouldn't eat anything.
Apply it to anything else. Apply it to anything else. I'm saying you wouldn't eat on its own. You wouldn't go, yeah, I think you get a bit of that.
I've got a way around this though, Matt, which is simply butter toast normally and then turn the toast upside down so you can't see it and eat it that way.
It's crazy. I couldn't do that to myself.
To be clear, I'm not the crazy one.
I once had a painfully embarrassing incident around this fucking thing. I was doing a voiceover for a terribly titled but brilliantly written show called Totally Bonkers Guinness World Records. It's probably on ICT2 now, it always is. And I was in this quite fancy recording studio, and a runner came in. So this is someone who's like, you know, starting out, it's their first job, and they're kind of like, you know, they're going to make people tea, and they're going to make sure the cabs are there and all that kind of stuff. And you know, they say, hey, would you like a little tea? And I say, yeah, I have some toast. And I say, quite specifically though, is it okay if the butter is melted into the bread, so it's not visible? And they say, I don't understand what you mean. And I said, so, you know, make the toast as per norm, and then when you put the butter on, just make sure that it's melted into the bread. And they said, I don't understand what you mean. I said, okay, how can I explain it? If I was doing it, I'd say I toast bread, when it came out and it's hot, I'd put the butter on it then, and if it was cold, if the butter was a bit cold, I might put the other bit of toast on top to make a little hot pocket for it, and that way it will start to melt, and then it'll be melted, and then, you know, you finish the butter. And they said, I don't understand. And I said, okay, so look, you're going to take the butter, the little sachet of butter, you're going to do the toast, you're going to put it in, and it's going to melt, and then we're not going to stick okay. And they came back. This is a conversation that's gone on way too long. They came back and they presented me a dry piece of toast, an unwrapped sachet of butter on top of it, and on top of that another dry piece of toast. And they said to me, is that what you wanted? And I felt so embarrassed. I said, yes. That's perfect, thanks so much. And now they're going to be off telling the story of, oh my God, we have Matt Edmondson, absolute diva. He wanted an unwrapped sachet of butter wedged between two pieces of warm toast. It's a maniac. Well, actually, all I really wanted was a very reasonable request, no visible butter.
Matt, just to leave you with a lingering thing that probably will keep you up at night, I've just done a cursory Google, and there's a large community of people who make fizzy gravy.
Oh my God.
There are Facebook pages dedicated to it. People who've made it for Christmas, generally carbonated gravy in the soda stream. That's what people do. They carbonate their gravy.
No. If I was on Dragon's Den, I would be immediately out.
So, on the fizzy gravy, just very quickly, or just on the gravy, Matt, are you saying that
Grizzy. It's called grizzy. It's called grizzy, yeah.
if you're having a roast, what would you usually have to combine the dish?
Well, there's some prejudice there, isn't there? Because you're assuming...
You mean I have a roast?
No. I'd have a roast, but you're assuming it needs to be combined with something. And it doesn't.
Yes, you see, we come from a long string of purists on this podcast. We don't really like roast, but we also accept that needs gravy to bind it or to bring it all together.
No, it doesn't need to be all together. They're happy hanging out with each other already. I like a very dry roast, and actually I would say that is the running of my dietary requirements. Generally, the drier the better.
I can see that with the chicken and the cereal.
Yeah.
And the roast, and you have committed yourself to having a rather plain palate.
Yes.
So, Matt, I think as we come to the end of this podcast, I think what we need to do is spice up your life, your eating life a bit,
right.
And we'll make it our mission to get you into wet cereal, fizzy gravy.
Surely fizzy gravy isn't the first step. Surely we build towards fizzy gravy.
It's gateway gravy, Matt.
Gateway
That's how it works.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. And before you go, can you just tell us the name of the place you've ordered from, where it is, and, big them up?
It's Barber to go, or Babur to go. I never know how to say it. B-A-B-U-R.
Where is that?
Well, it's in South East London as well. I live in Brockley, so they're within driving Brockley. I actually don't know where the takeaway is because, not that I've been there. Hence the nature of being a takeaway. It's in South East London somewhere.
It's the first time one of our guests actually has lived in an area that's named after a food. That's another first. Broccoli. We remember.
That's true. And it is leafy and green.
What a nice little bow on the end of the episode. Matt, thank you so much. Thank you, Matt. That's great fun.
Thanks, guys. Nice to see you. Catch up soon. Bye-bye.
You can contact the show on Twitter @FaveTakeawayPod or Instagram on MyFavouriteTakeawayPodcast. You can email us with your stories of takeaway, woe, gripes, your worries on hello@myfavouriteTakeawayPodcast.com.
Matt Edmondson's habits are mad. I still can't get over the fizzy drink thing. That's more astonishing to me than like someone who's not had a McDonald's or ever had a Burger King, or I can sort of see why you might do that, but not having a fizzy drink is like crazy.
It is remarkable, isn't it? In fact, I'm kind of intrigued. Listeners, are there things that you've never tried that really you should have?
Yeah, that's a good job.
I'd love to know what they are, and if there's any reason, explain why. Let's say you've never tried Christmas. I want to know why, with an explanation. I want to hear the justification why these mainstays of sort of food groups are avoided by some people. Because the fact that you have a drink, you drunk a fizzy drink, to me just feels mind-blowing. You can contact the show on hello@myfavouriteTakeawayPodcast.com, and we'd love to hear from you. We have yet more brilliant guests coming up, and please do spread the word. Leave us a 5-star review, and also leave us a description of why you like the show, because it makes such a difference. It really helps us spread the show and helps us to get more and more great guests and bring you more and more wonderful shows.
And Tom, you've got a new podcast out.
I did. Thank you very much for bringing that up, Sid. I do. I have a new history podcast with Ellis James, who's been on the show before, and a chap called Chris Scull, a very funny broadcaster, and it's called Oh What a Time, and it's out every Monday. If you want to check it out, do look up Oh What a Time on your podcast app and give us a listen. And Sim, we have another brilliant guest next week on this wonderful podcast.
We do. We have the incredibly funny, and it genuinely was one of the funniest podcasts we've done. I'll record it with Sean Walsh. Cannot wait for you guys to hear it.
I'd agree. I'd almost say it's an argument. It's my favourite episode we've done.
Well, we'll have an argument about it, that's for sure.
We will. We're going to go meet in a car lot now and come to blows. Decide whether I'm right. See you guys next week. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, which is the first in our run of live summer shows at the Soho Theatre in London. We have all sorts of amazing guests lined up for you for the rest of the summer. I won't go into that now because I really don't want to spoil it, especially for the people who have tickets. But what I can tell you is that in this week's show we were joined by Jamie Morton. Now, you will know Jamie if you listen to No Such Thing as a Fish before, because he has been on quite a few shows. This is his third appearance, but of course he is most well known for being 1/3 of, let's be honest, the greatest British podcast of all time, My Dad Wrote a Porno. Now, one important thing to say about that is that the My Dad Wrote a Porno team have chosen some of their funniest moments from across their 6-season run, including some unheard gems, and they'll be releasing best-of episodes once a month, starting on Monday the 31st of July. I absolutely can't wait for those best-of shows. I'm sure you can't either, but in the meantime, please do enjoy this week's episode of No Such Thing as a Fish with Jamie Morton. Okay, on with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast, this week coming to you live from the Soho Theatre in London! My name is Dan Shriver. I am sitting here with Andrew Hunter Murray, James Harkin, and
Jamie Morton, and once again we have gathered around the microphones with our 4 favorite facts from the last 7 days, and in no particular order, here we go. Starting with fact number 1, and that is, Jamie, my fact this week, boys, is in 1782, a woman found a drag performance so hilarious that she literally died of laughter.
Wow.
Probably not going to happen tonight. Not with me here, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't that mad? Yeah, it's insane. So this was an act that was it was a play called Beggar's Opera, and someone called Charles Bannister who was playing a character called Polly Peachum. And yeah, to give us a story. Yeah, so Mrs. Fitzherbert, suspiciously there's no first name, but she was a widow of a Northamptonshire clergyman. So it was quite salacious that she was even at this kind of submersive show. Okay. And she found it so funny that this man came out, and he was described as lantern-jawed with 5 o'clock shadow and a double chin, in a lovely, pretty dress, and she just found it so funny. She just couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
Oh, wow. That's the amazing thing. Like, she had to leave the theatre, didn't she? Yeah. She was laughing so much, but that's not when she died.
No.
The newspaper reporter said she couldn't get the figure from her memory. So it's just every morning she just wake up and go, ah!
I mean, what a sheltered fucking life. I'm sorry, like, if that makes you laugh that much, it killed you.
Maybe it was a really good show.
Yes.
You know.
Well, the Beggar's Opera.
It's a classic. And the actor, Bannister, he was one of the great actors of the day. He was very funny. He was famous.
A good name too.
Charles Bannister.
Yeah, so John gave the Beggar's Opera, actually. That was the first play which had songs in it that were part of the narrative of the Beggar's Opera. It's pretty much the first musical, I would say.
Yeah.
And it was so popular, there was a thing called Beggar Mania. And so you could go around, you could buy matchboxes, fans, fire guards, everything with this show on.
It's like those things of fish. On your tables there is a merchandise leaflet. I think it's got a QR code. Genuinely, as you can see it right there. Get some of that merch.
Jamie, please, we rely on this. We rely on the merch. It's all that's keeping us going.
I was looking at people who had died on stage, and I have like a weird connection to one of these. So Molière.
Oh yeah.
Very famous French playwright, actor. He collapsed on stage, ironically playing the lead in his final play called The Imaginary Invalid. So he literally died playing a hypochondriac. Right. And I have also played the lead in The Imaginary Invalid.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's not that cool.
I sort of said that on Autopilot, Jamie. I wasn't
That is really terrible. But back in my youth, I used to, read the boards. I didn't die, obviously, but,
The thing about him, actually, is because he was an actor, in those days actors couldn't go to heaven. So,
wow.
I'm not sure anyone could go, well, now let's not get into that. That's an ecumenical matter, but the thing was, if you were an actor, it was like, you had to renounce your acting job before you died. So on your deathbed, you might say, I was never really an actor, or I wasn't a very good one, or whatever, and then you'd be allowed to go to heaven.
As you said, I'm really more of a playwright. I'm more of a sort of immersive media creator, really.
I facilitated the heathens. I wasn't one of them myself.
But and the thing is that meant that he was buried he wasn't allowed to be buried in a churchyard or anything like that, because he died so quickly after this event.
Wow.
I went to see a Molière play a few years ago.
Oh, yeah?
And I...
Starring Jamie Morton?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
How was I?
Well, it wasn't one we knew it, but I actually finished it halfway through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in a sense, Molière died a second time that night.
Wow. I'd say it's in the translation. He's a fantastic player.
Oh, I'm sure there was a school party all around us. And it was tricky. They were not having a good time. But neither were we. I've got a little quiz for you guys.
Oh, right.
Alright, so this is... I'm going to say a thing, right, an object, and you have to say what it's used for by the Royal Shakespeare Company.
No problem is too
stage score.
Okay.
Oh,
right. Okay.
So in 2010, for example...
but Shakespeare specifically?
These are all used by the RSC, right? So in 2010, the Royal Shakespeare Company, they used
sweet hints of lychees during their summer season?
Bubos. Like,
Not Bubos. Well, it wasn't actually an everyone play game.
that school party then again.
No, it just wait for a second. Just the eyeballs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We can edit that.
We can edit that, yeah.
No, well done to the people who knew it, and thank you. And
eyeballs.
Okay. That's because
What scene? Yeah.
where they blind the Duke of Gloucester.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
He actually knew. That's very impressive. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, here's another one. Chicken fillets.
Chicken fillets. Boobs for bras. To pump up the bras.
Actual.
Well, that's a real thing.
No, it's not. No. That's locally called chicken, but they're not actual chicken fillets.
Well, I've got an Amazon delivery for my wife that she's going to be very confused about. My pig skin and muscles.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No, it's
Anyone in the audience?
It's tongues.
Ah.
And finally, tin hairs. Tin hairs.
Tennis ball. No.
What?
Nothing. Tennis. I didn't say that. I said testicles. I said half of it, and then I pulled back. Yeah. I think testicles is a good call. Okay, testicles.
All right. No.
Idiot.
You complete. No, it's penises. It's penises. Tin hairs are penises.
Sorry. Penises.
Yeah.
Don't. What? Sorry. What? I'm either buying some really odd pears, or I need to see a doctor.
I think they're shaped a little bit, but I think it's the consistency, and I mean they're not.
What are they doing with these fake penises that they need a good consistency? I'm not sure I've seen that Shakespeare play where they all get their cocks out. Which one is that? Yeah. Measure for measure, that's right.
I don't actually. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
There we go. And they have they're real, like they have an amazing department, and they had their fake blood as a. Anyway.
Could it be that you put it in your stockings and it gives you a shape? Like,
I think it was for some horrible, like Titus Andronicus has lots of terrible torture and gore and all this stuff. So they
Right.
like it's rare. It's not across the canon that you need a tin pair in the department. But they've got these tin pair. Their fake blood recipe is secret, and they've got 3 different consistencies. And there was an interview with Helen Hughes, who's one of their very senior proper design people. She was being interviewed about fake blood, and the interviewer asked her, like, what do you use for your fake blood? And she said, what kind of blood? There's venal blood, arterial blood, newly dried blood, crusty old blood. They can do all of it. All of it. She has her grant. Helen.
there was a story which is you got this story from a Charles Brandreth anecdote book, didn't you? Yeah, theatre anecdote book.
The word fact should be questioned. But
Yes, I did. But there was a guy who was called William McReady, and it was early 19th century Shakespearean plays that he was in, and he got basically to put blood on his hand because he was in Macbeth and he needed blood on his hand. And he went to the side of the stage, and it wasn't there. It wasn't on the side. He desperately needed it, but there happened to be a bystander there, so he punched him in the nose. Wipe the blood off his nose and ran back on. Yeah. According to Giles. And that's what it falls down. But what happens when you die? What do you mean? What would happen to you as a person if you died? What would you? What would you become? A ghost? I got so into theatre ghosts. Oh, right. Yeah. Some of them are really tragic. So actually, where this woman died of laughter at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane, yes. I think it's the most haunted theatre in the world, or they claim that. But their kind of main event, their big star is what's his name? The Man in Grey. Okay. Who can be seen on like the upper circle, I think, and he just like has a big cloak and is very menacing. And it's actually founded in truth, because when it was being renovated in the 1800s, they kind of found a bit of a fake bit of the wall, and they looked into it, and it was a little cubby hole, and inside that cubby hole was a skeleton of a man with a dagger through his chest. Wow! And that's the exact place where this ghost has been spotted for centuries. Very good.
That believes it. That believes it.
Sailenders, much more than just a cricket podcast.
Cricket base, we very rarely talk about world cricket.
Yes, but when we need to, we can do. Boy, can we deliver. As England's greatest ever bowler, you don't need to do this podcast. But why do you? Welcome to Sailenders, a loosely cricket-based loosely cricket-based podcast from the G-Force Everything's Way. Kim-Pedersen, the greatest Sailenders.
Listen on BBC Sounds. BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
BBC 5 Live.
Ellis James and John Robbins.
Hello everyone and welcome to the final extra non-live Ellis James and John Robbins podcast. And the story of the morning is that Dave's in crisis.
Yeah.
He's really sort of out of control. I'm worried about him. At first I was just annoyed by his incompetence, but now I'm genuinely concerned for his health, his marriage, his financial stability. Dave, what's gone wrong? Because you're at 6s and 7s.
You initially thought he was being incompetent, but I think there's something deeper at play.
There's something very deeper.
Oh, let's just boil this down for a second. It was an effing verification code that I didn't have the effing inbox login for. Yeah, but Dave, it is so not you to crumble when you can't get a verification code. And your tears at 10:13 a.m.
And then his microphone wasn't on the right setting.
Yeah.
It was like it's Jekyll and Hyde with Dave
Yeah.
sometimes.
And then he became very, very calm and like golden. Really, really friendly and chilled. And then he refreshed his inbox, there was still no verification code, and the air turned.
And then he just sort of bent down below his desk on camera and sniffed a couple of times. And it was like he was on the party. It's a real roller coaster for Dave today, I have to say.
It's 9:10 on a Monday, you madman.
Well, I know Dave.
And what happens is he keeps bending over to tie his laces. And it must have been because the amount of sniffing he does when he's tying those blooming laces, you always can fuck him. Perky's out. Perky's a big. The recent downpours have actually worked wonders with my hay fever, actually. Now, this is really clears the air. The odd rain, the odd bit of rain, a little hay fever. What I would say is, it's absolutely fine. It does make it quite clear that producer Matt is in charge of a lot of the technical sensibilities of this show these days. Where the one... You're more of an ideas man. Yes. You don't really get a complete face anymore when it comes to actual production. And then the one that I do have to take on because Matt's in Fuerteventura on holiday, it all goes to pot. So yeah, you're more of a vibe version these days, aren't you? Sort of sit with your feet up on the desk, braces. Yeah, just spitballing. Yeah. How is everyone? This is a Monday morning, so we're just... well, I'm hungover, actually, but other than that,
Are you?
Yeah.
Why are you hungover?
Because my friend Barca Jim came down from Leeds, and he's friends with Barry Glendenning, so we went to Barry's local in Brixton, and one thing led to another. But it was my son's nursery leaving assembly at 9:05. So there's nothing like sort of